It's hard to script a video like this. The data I have gathered was weeks in the making, and it's taken me a while to compile all of it in an orderly fashion and present it to you. Because after all, blockchain is all about recording data over time as the events unfold. As I've said before, I don't like just spewing information out unless I can back it with my quantum theory. So with that, the simplest thing to do would be to start from the beginning. Bitcoin, as are all cryptocurrencies, is extremely volatile, but as of COVID, they have progressed in somewhat of a bullish trend. As Bitcoin began declining from its all-time high in early January, I expected it to find somewhat of a stable price. However, as the days passed and Bitcoin kept declining, I began to realize that something within my theory for a quantum financial system was wrong. So I began searching for clues that could help me answer what was wrong. I knew liquidity had to be moving somewhere, whether it be the USD, which would be reflected in the UUP, the stock market, or even other cryptos. As I began searching, slight news articles began attracting my attention to GameStop. This most certainly piqued my interest because GameStop, at least in my book, was a bankrupt company. I had realized its enormous price movement when GameStop was just $32 after having remembered a previous price of around $9 when the Chewy CEO took over. So I screenshotted its price for reference and kept searching, but keeping this stock in mind. As time progressed, Bitcoin kept declining all the way to around $30,000 to $31,000. And I even made mention via social media that people should take notice of its price because in my theory, this meant that the Fed was about to take action. And if you remember in our previous video where I said cryptos had been used as an indicator for the Fed to begin injecting trillions of dollars into the market, I applied the same principle here. Within a few days, GameStop had yet again caught my attention, now double the previous value from when I had last screenshotted it. With Bitcoin having decreased such a significant amount and consumers beginning to doubt its potential, I began searching for clues as to what could be the commotion within GameStop. Reddit. Reddit was pumping GameStop in an attempt to squeeze the bank's short positions. This, of course, was a sound investment strategy, but where it became an issue was when it began showing the fragility of our financial system via liquidity risks. This was prevalent within the UVXY, or an indicator of volatility, which translated to the instability of what was going on within GameStop and thus of our financial system. Having found out what was going on within GameStop, the Fed got involved and halted trading. As they began processing all of the buy orders, they, as I did, more than likely noted that it began costing Dogecoin a ton of money, so much so that it ended up returning 450% in a single day. This, in my theory, was when the banks regained control. After halting trading and noting where the money was coming from, they used their newly generated funds to correct GameStop's price after reaching an all-time high of $468, increasing 145% in a single day. None of those returns sound remotely normal within our current financial system. If they were, it would signal that inflation is monumental within our physical economy and thus would pose a systemic risk. Shortly after trading was resumed, the UVXY, Dogecoin, and GameStop all began decreasing in value. I say all this because the night after GameStop's boom and Reddit's news spotlight, Robinhood had somehow obtained $1 billion of collateral. Of course, in my theory, this was simply from them investing in Dogecoin, as I believe only a bank or the Fed can manipulate a price increase of 450%. Now, this might seem crazy and illegal to some people because, after all, it is your money, and if you want to risk it, you should have the right to do so, right? Or do you? See, that's where one must fully understand the system within which they are investing. The current financial system has a strict set of rules and regulations overseen by the SEC, or the Securities and Exchange Commission. GameStop was classified as a pump and dump when society began viewing it as a get-rich-quick scheme. Our financial system is not a casino, all right? It doesn't pay out the consumer just because they believe they will make money. Going back to the original idea for the investment, a short squeeze is a viable, profitable way to make money. But when society began to view it as a way to get back at the banks and fill themselves with greed, the Fed had no choice but to step in. Now, that might not have been your prerogative, and you could have just been looking to make a couple of dollars via momentum buying, but again, you must understand what you are buying and what you are investing in. GameStop is legitimately, fundamentally bankrupt. They are truly one of the last blockbusters in existence, and they will slowly fade out unless they drastically change their business plan / structure. But that's not even the craziest part. What's more mind-blowing to me is that society actually threw $4 billion into something of literally no value in their system. What? Sounds to me like the Fed just injected $4 billion worth of crypto into their financial system because the currency of the underlying bond value that makes up the ETF became worthless, thus reflecting what crypto truly is. When investors began buying these bonds up to $450, they mispriced risk, which the system translated as worthless currency. This, of course, came at the cost of society having not sold before the Fed got involved and trading halted. All those posts you saw on social media of #hold the line was literal propaganda generated by the banks to fool you into thinking you stood any chance. This is what I believe to be the inevitable outcome of cryptos in our financial system and physical economy. Those that are not aware of both sides always inevitably end up losing. The Fed's job within the financial system is to remain neutral and only ever intervene when it is deemed necessary. Because, come on, when the heck has over 100% return in one day on a bankrupt stock ETF ever seemed normal? If you held, it's because you had absolutely no idea what you bought, i.e. the genetic makeup of a stock ETF or its option contract. Cryptos can be pumped and dumped all day with little governmental intervention, which is why I believe the banks hedged their position against Dogecoin, because the same Reddit users that also pumped GameStop had previously pumped Dogecoin, thus generating enormous amounts of digital dollars, within which they then used to pump GameStop, running into the Fed, who was waiting there a day in advance. A situation like this is what furthers me to develop my quantum theory so that society can understand the difference between investing and generating money. If you want to gamble because you don't care about the risk you're taking when investing in the stock market, then go to Vegas. You'll have a quicker answer and you'll probably have better luck there at making money. My quantum financial system allowed me to view this whole GameStop fiasco before, during, and after all the events unfolded, and it truly blew my mind. It's allowed me to drastically speed up the data processing time, which I believe should be reflected within cryptos such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. Wink, wink. COVID drastically changed the game of investing, and one must be very careful and wise with the data they are perceiving, because in the future, I see the biggest threat to investors being the dissemination of untimely information. Had one bought GameStop at $32, they probably would have sold long before it reached its all-time high and generated a great return. This is the power of a quantum financial system, and the goal of this channel is to put that knowledge into the hands of you, the consumer, so that you are aware of potential financial impacts from governmental interventions. I hope this video has helped to answer some of the underlying questions you may have had regarding this whole GameStop fiasco. If you're still left wondering, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer in accordance with what I've developed in my theory thus far. Thank you for watching this episode of Life with Kyle, and until our next quantum occurrence, continue to dream while you're awake.